Proudly sponsored by heshes.co.uk, a fast-growing boxing equipment brand that give 20% of all sales on the branded products back to a boxing gym of your choice.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Niche Sports. We are proudly sponsored by Hes Boxing, where 20% of each sale goes to a boxing gym of your choice. Today we have the F1 qualifying review. Obviously F1 is in Hungary this weekend at the Hungaroring, and it was a very, very good qualifying session actually. The main talking point, Max Verstappen did not get pole. It was Lewis Hamilton. He gets his 104th pole in his career, and what a pole it was. That final flying lap from the Brit was absolutely superb. Obviously we've seen this weekend, or more rather we haven't seen, who truly is the fastest car, and I still don't know it. I still don't think we fully know, but the fact that Lewis Hamilton topped the timings in practice 3, and then with the engines fully turned up today, in this afternoon I should say, he managed to get pole. It shows that Mercedes are fast this weekend. George Russell, therefore, will be very disappointed by the fact that he qualified in P18. The car clearly has pace this weekend, and it's a shame that traffic ruined his chances. It would have been good to see how far up the grid he could have been. But yeah, traffic once again being a talking point in qualifying, ruining George Russell's lap. Sargent finishing 20th as a result, or linking to the traffic as well. Magnussen getting knocked out in Q1 as well is a bit of a shock. But yeah, that's the major talking points. Yuki Tsunoda also out in Q1. So a few you'd expect, but also George Russell getting knocked out in Q1 is a big talking point. And that's mainly down to the traffic, of course. And as I say, because of Mercedes' pace, that'd be really disappointing. Sergio Perez managed to get through to Q3 this week for the first time in a few races. That'll be a huge relief, but it was only P9, which still really is much behind where the Red Bull should be. So although it's sort of relief that it's a more relative sort of upper end of the grid for Perez, it's still surely isn't regarded as a good qualifying in Red Bull's books. Max Verstappen, he qualified second, obviously outpaced by Lewis Hamilton. Considering that Red Bull didn't have the greatest of pace yesterday, on Friday, with Max not even being in the top 10 in either session, I think it'll be a good result for him. But Red Bull, you know, it'll seem like a bad result considering that they're almost always on pole and have been pretty much every race this year. In fact, I'm not sure on this, don't fact check me, but I believe that might be the first pole this year that isn't Red Bull's. So a huge result from Lewis, and it was great to get in there, Lewis, again from Bono. McLaren, very strong showing from them, P3 and P4, which shows the McLaren, the upgrades that they brought are really working. It's basically a rocket ship now, that McLaren. Massive change from the start of the season. Lando absolutely performing out of his skin. Oscar Piastri doing very well as well for a rookie. So very good performance from McLaren. They'll be very happy with that. Probably the happiest out of all the teams this weekend will be Alfa Romeo, P5 and P7 for Zhou and Bottas. That's Zhou's not fast start, but his best qualifying in F1. And Bottas, who's had a very difficult season so far, to get P7 for him as well is a great result. So Alfa Romeo, they'll definitely be the happiest team this weekend. It'll be interesting to see how well they can do this weekend. Obviously, you know, they may have a pace in qualifying, but by no means the fastest car, but one of the worst cars on the grid. They do have pace this weekend though, but will the race pace correlate? So it'll be interesting to see that they, who are pretty much out of position, will be able to keep them places in the race tomorrow. Aston Martin, Fernando Alonso in 8th, I believe he was, and then Lance Stroll just outside the top 10. That's not a great session by any means for them. Fernando Alonso only narrowly sneaking through to Q3. But there's a good chance there for Alonso to get points. We've seen his race pace, we've seen what he can do, and that Aston Martin at times, when it's on fire, is really on fire. So it's not great by any means, but it's a good position for Alonso to start and potentially get right up the order. Stroll as well, just outside the top 10, so definitely the chance of finishing a points paying position, but probably a harder weekend than Aston Martin would have liked. Daniel Ricciardo then, the Honey Badger, making his return, his first qualifying session back. He out-qualified Yuki Tsunoda, which is probably a little bit of a shock, considering it's his first time in that AlphaTauri, first competitive laps in that AlphaTauri, but it shows the pace that Daniel Ricciardo has. 13th, so the AlphaTauri is still not hugely fast, but considering that is his first race, you'd only expect him to, first qualifying, sorry, you'd only expect him to improve. So perhaps the AlphaTauri does have more pace than Yuki Tsunoda and Nick De Vries have been letting on so far. The final talking point really is Hülkenberg got into the top 10 once again. He's doing really well this season and is looking to continue that at the Hungaroring. Potential for good points for him. We've seen what he can do this year in the Haas when he's starting in the top 10. So potential for very good points for him. And if Magnussen can make his way through the field, obviously historically Hungaroring is not the easiest place to overtake. There's a good chance there. That's another thing that I forgot to mention about Ferrari. Carlos Sainz knocked out in Q2, and it was Charles Leclerc that knocked him out. So one Ferrari benefiting, one Ferrari not doing so well, and Charles Leclerc was only in P7. So a difficult weekend for Ferrari yet again. But I think we're pretty used to that by now. Lots of work to do for them. Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz are both two good drivers though, but with difficulty around, with overtaking around Hungaroring, and Ferrari clearly not being that pacey this weekend. I'm not expecting great things from them tomorrow. But yeah, that's pretty much qualifying wrapped up then. A busy Saturday in the Hungaroring, and obviously the new structure of qualifying taking place. It seemed to work. It seemed to be an exciting qualifying session, but whether that was just a one-off because the grid was a bit of a mess, we will see. Be interesting to see if they trial it again this year, or whether it is straight into use next year. But I'll probably release a more in-depth thought on that qualifying session's structure in a few days' time. But yeah, that is a busy Saturday wrapped up, a busy qualifying session wrapped up for the Hungaroring. Thank you for watching. A reminder that us at Niche Sports, we're proudly sponsored by Hes Boxing, where 20% of any purchase you make will go to a local boxing gym of your choice. I'll be back for a race review tomorrow or Monday morning. Thank you for watching.